After a dramatic Daytona 500 last weekend, we headed to the EchoPark Raceway in Hampton, Georgia for the Autotrader 400, the second point-scoring NASCAR Cup Series season round for 2026. But which were the 5 things that we learned from this NASCAR Cup Series race that was on this weekend? What were the 5 main highlights? Here we go, guys, with our review of the 2026 Autotrader 400. So the opening stage of this 400-mile race very much did set the tone for the entire event on Sunday afternoon. The likes of Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski even led in the opening stages of this part of the race. But surprisingly, there were no cautions during the first stage of the EchoPark. during this stage of the meeting at the EchoPark Raceway. Bubba Wallace led the penultimate lap of this first stage, but then it was Austin Cindric who led at the line. An incredible effort from the number 2 car, given the fact he started all the way down in 30th. He worked his way through the field to lead after the first stage. Incredible stuff. Second thing we learn is that Ty Gibbs is a lucky boy, or unlucky depending on how you look at it. He had a very nasty crash during the second stage of this contest. Essentially, he was caught up behind Alex Bowman going through one of the turns, then tried to go between Bowman and Josh Berry, who was on the left. However, that gap very quickly closed. He spun out, he collected Josh Berry and a few other cars, but it was a really nasty crash where he got spun around and then just went into the outside barriers. Thankfully, he was okay, but he was very much out of the race as a result of that. And the third thing we learned is that the end of the second stage was rather dramatic, to say the very least. Near the front of the pack, Shane Van Gisbergen was doing a really good job, but unfortunately his day was pretty much ended in terms of a competitive run-in by Kyle Larson. Larson was going towards the inside to try and block, but he did it way too aggressively, hit Shane Van Gisbergen, spun them both out, and because of that, the yellow flags were brought out just before the leading pair crossed the line. Those two were William Byron and also Bubba Wallace. Byron actually led at the line, but the moment when the yellow flag came out, it was Wallace who was in the lead. Therefore, he was declared the winner of stage 2. He narrowly missed out in stage 1, but he did not miss out because of that in stage 2. The fourth thing that we learned is that as things started to go towards nighttime, again, the drama was very much amplified. We had a few huge crashes involving dozens of cars. There were 2 really big ones, in fact, and because of that, it all meant that we went to overtime, and also the race actually ended in nighttime as well. Had it gone to time, it probably would have ended around dusk sort of time, around the sunset time. But the biggest of those 2 big ones was essentially started by Joey Logano. I know, a very controversial figure in NASCAR. People will not be too afraid. But the biggest of those big ones, you can probably blame Joey Logano for that. He effectively just shut down Denny Hamlin while Hamlin was trying to make a run on him. Hamlin spun round. There was a huge chain reaction. A lot of cars crashing into each other. The usual stuff. But who came out on top? What was the 5th thing we learned? What was the final thing we learned here? Who came out on top in the second round of the Cup Series? Well, it was none other than Tyler Reddick, who got his second victory in as many competitive races. Of course, we don't count the Bowman Gray. That is an exhibition pre-season race. But 2 wins in a row for Reddick. He won the Daytona 500 last week. He wins this week. And also on top of that, I think the EchoPark win is arguably even more impressive because he ended up having a bit of damage on his car. His entire fender panel on the front right side of the car was off, but he still managed to win the race. That would have been playing havoc with his aerodynamics, but it didn't seem to put him off. He was competitive in pretty much all of the last stages. And even when we went to overtime, there was a caution called pretty much straight away. He kept his nose, I don't want to say clean, because obviously he did take some damage on, but cleaner than all the rest, basically. So a perfect start for him, a perfect start for 23-11. After everything that's happened in the off-season, for them to win the first 2 rounds of the season, I think NASCAR's officials will be fuming at that personally. But I'm all here for it, and I'm all here as well for the Motorsport Reports, guys. Me and Phil are going to bring you all the big NASCAR news, reviews, previews, and everything in between throughout the 2026 season. But yeah, what did you think of this race, guys? Did you watch it live? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is Reddick the favourite for the championship? Very, very early days, of course, but very positive start for him. You cannot deny that. Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. Have a fantastic time wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon. Have a good one.